how important is the sort of SPF? If we go out and we choose a face or a body sunscreen, you mentioned 15 or 16 SPF there. I've always been using an SPF 50 on my face. I know that there's products that are 100 SPF. What's the difference between this number? What does it actually mean? And based on the evidence that we have, are we better off just choosing the highest number?
The short answer is yes, we are better off just choosing the highest number that you can afford and that you can apply a lot of. So what the number means is basically, if you apply the sunscreen perfectly under lab conditions, how much is the UV reduced? So for example, an SPF 15 applied perfectly will reduce the skin reddening UV that goes through the sunscreen to hit your skin to 1/15th. So for SPF 50, that would be reduced to 1/50th or 2%. The problem is this is firstly when it's applied perfectly, and no one applies it perfectly. When they do the SPF test in the lab, they actually squeeze out the sunscreen in tiny dots on the skin, and then they get like a gloved finger and rub it in a very specific way. And they have to do this to get reproducible findings with SPF testing. In reality, we are not doing that. We're just slopping it on. So the higher you go, the more likely it is that a thinner layer will still give you a decent amount of protection. So if you're applying SPF 50 plus, when you actually apply it, you're probably getting a fair bit less than that, especially if you're not being careful about measuring out how much sunscreen you're applying. Back in the day, there used to be this big thing about how like higher SPFs are more expensive and higher SPFs have worse texture, which kind of makes sense because like if you're cramming more sunscreen chemicals into a sunscreen, then you're getting a higher SPF, but you're also running out of space for everything else in the product that makes it feel nice. But these days we have a lot better technology in terms of sunscreen filters that work really well while feeling nice, things that we can add to sunscreens that make them feel a lot lighter. And so, yeah, it is possible to get SPF 50 plus sunscreens now that just feel like moisturizer. And so, especially in Australia, where sunscreen is relatively inexpensive, it is a good idea to just get the highest SPF you can.